Number 1. Living things adjust to a stimulus by a reaction called a environment, growth spurt, homeostasis, or response. Number 2. The information gathered from experiments is called blank. The data, the experiment, the hypothesis, or the conclusion. Number 3. A structured procedure for collecting information to test a hypothesis is a principle, theory, control, or experiment. Number 4. A testable explanation for a question or problem is a experiment, hypothesis, observation, or verifiable law. Number 5. Blank research is usually based on numerical measurements: ethical, descriptive, quantitative, or qualitative. Number 6. Students of a biology class ran an experiment on a type of flowering plant. Their goal was to find the optimal time in the plant's life for flowering. What time period will provide the most flowering plants? Use the table to determine your answer. 5 to 6 days, 3 to 4 days, 7 to 8 days, or 9 to 10 days. Number 7. Which of the following results from a quantitative analysis of the picture? The babies are cold, there are 8 babies, there isn't enough food, or these are the first babies this rabbit has had. Number 8. Some birds are known as honey guides because they may be followed by humans to wild beehives. When the humans take honey from the hives, the birds are able to feast on the honey and bees too. This type of relationship between the birds and the humans can best be described as blank: parasitism, commensalism, mutualism, or symbiosis. Number 9. Cougars are predators that often eat weakened or diseased animals. This is a description of the blank of cougars: habitat, community, niche, or none of these. Number 10. An ecologist who studies how several species in an area interact among each other and with the abiotic parts of the environment is interested in the biological organization level called a organism, population, community, or ecosystem. Number 11. An ecologist who studies how several species in an area interact is interested in the biological organization called a organism, population, community, or ecosystem. Number 12. When referring to the picture as matter and energy move from grasses to coyotes, the amount of available energy blank increases, decreases, decreases then increases, or increases or decreases but population size remains the same. 13. Referring to the picture, the relationship between cats and mice could best be described as blank: predator-prey, scavenger-carrion, dead animal, parasite-host, or consumer-producer. 14. Referring to the picture, the coyotes would be considered blank: herbivores, third-level consumers, second-level consumers, or decomposers. Number 15. Referring to the picture, energy flows from blank: coyotes to grasses, cats to mice, mice to cats, or coyotes to cats. 16. Identify the abiotic factor labeled in the ecosystem shown in the picture: mouse, butterfly, rock, or tree. Number 17. The group of whales in the picture are the same species. What biological level of organization is this? Community, ecosystem, population, or biosphere? Number 18. In the energy pyramid shown, which level has the smallest number of organisms? Fox, birds, grasshoppers, or grass. 19. The organisms growing on the log in the picture, fungus, are producers, autotrophs, carnivores, or decomposers. 20. Which organism shown in the energy pyramid receives the highest percentage of energy from the sun? Fox, birds, grasshoppers, or grass? 21. What type of ecosystem is shown in the picture? Terrestrial, population, aquatic, or abiotic? 22. A flea sucking blood off of a dog would be considered what type of symbiosis? Mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, or predatorism? 23. Ling feeds her guppies 1/2 teaspoon of fish food every day. The average guppy population in her aquarium over a 4-month period is 38 guppies. She increased the food to 1 teaspoon per day. After a 4-month period, the average population is 53 guppies. Which of the following statements is supported by this data? The size of the aquarium was a limiting factor. 1/2 teaspoon of food was a limiting factor. As long as Ling keeps adding more food, the guppy population will continue to grow forever, or guppies reproduce rapidly. 24. When Ling increased the amount of food from question 23, what happened to the carrying capacity of the aquarium? It increased, it decreased, it remained the same, or it increased and then decreased. 25. Look at the graph. What does this graph tell us about this species of plant? Too much sunlight can hurt them. They thrive in a lot of sun. Heat is damaging to them, or they need plenty of water. 26. Look at the graph. Approximately how many hours of sunlight should these plants receive each day in order to make them grow at their optimum level? 4, 12, 16, or 20? 27. Which of the following problems do immigration and emigration pose for demographers? Demographers must provide for more city services. Demographers cannot identify the age structure of immigrants. Demographers find it difficult to make predictions about populations. Or demographers study growth rates, age structures, and geographic distribution of populations. 28. The effective movement of people between countries has blank effect on the total world population. A damaging, little, a great, or no. 29. Bacteria have a blank reproductive strategy, a characteristic determined by their small size, rapid maturation, and short lifespan. Unusual, early, R strategy, or K strategy. 30. The giant land tortoises of the Galapagos Islands have among the longest lifespans of any organisms. This indicates that they likely have a strategy of blank. R strategy, K strategy, early sexual maturity, or all of these. 31. A population that grows until it reaches its carrying capacity usually has the shape of an blank. I, J, S, or M. 32. Density-independent factors are limiting factors whose effects are confined to the habitat of the population, determined by the degree of competition for resources, not influenced by the population densities, or determined by the difference between birth rate and population density. 33. For a particular species, the carrying capacity is the maximum number of individual organisms that blank. The species could reach in a given time period if all the offspring survive and reproduce, could be supported by a given environment indefinitely, are in their post-reproductive years, or could be supported by any environment over a period of 1 year. 34. Unrestricted populations of organisms experience blank: exponential growth, linear growth, logistic growth, or biotic growth. 35. When you study all the growth characteristics of a human population, you are studying its blank: reproductive pattern, exponential growth, life history pattern, or demography. 36. Population control factors whose effects increase as the size of the population increases are blank: abiotic factors, density-dependent factors, limiting factors, or density-independent factors. 37. How does an enzyme influence a biological reaction? It increases the net energy difference between reactants and products. It decreases the activation energy needed to initiate the chemical change. It increases the kinetic energy of reactants, thereby increasing their tendency to collide. Or it decreases the kinetic energy of reactants, enabling them to undergo chemical change more easily. 38. What is the function of the enzyme-substrate complex? Destroy the enzyme, prevent bondage at the active site, stop chemical reactions, or break and form chemical bonds. 39. Glycerol and fatty acids are the monomers for which macromolecule? Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, or nucleic acids. 40. A student set up 4 test tubes containing starch solution in which to perform starch digestion. Supplies included amylase, enzyme that digests starch and works best between 35 and 40 degrees Celsius, and an incubator. In which test tube listed would starch digestion proceed most quickly? Tube 1, no amylase, room temperature 25 degrees Celsius. Tube 2, no amylase, body temperature 37 degrees Celsius. Tube 3, amylase present, room temperature 25 degrees Celsius. Or tube 4, amylase present, body temperature 37 degrees Celsius. 41. Which of the following compounds may be polymers? Carbohydrates, nucleic acids, proteins, or all of these? 42. What are the building blocks of proteins? Nucleic acids, peptide bonds, amino acids, or glycerol and fatty acids? 43. The various enzymes in our body are blank: lipids, carbohydrates, nucleotides, or proteins. 44. Diffusion of molecules across the cell membrane continues until blank is reached: dynamic equilibrium, turgor pressure, concentration gradient, or active transport. 45. Which of the following images in the picture depicts dynamic equilibrium? A, B, C, or D? 46. Which of the following organisms never have cell walls? Plants, fungi, bacteria, or animals? 47. All living things are made up of one or more blank: cells, cork, wastes, or cellulose. 48. What do electron microscopes use to focus and magnify an image? Glass lenses, X-rays, electron beams, or light? 49. Each of the following is a main idea of the cell theory except blank: all organisms are composed of one or more cells. The cell is the basic unit of organization of organisms. All cells are similar in structure and functions, or all cells come from pre-existing cells. 50. Unlike plants, animal cells contain blank: cell walls, centrioles, nucleolus, or chloroplast.